Hello and welcome back to another episode of Boys Gone Wild. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm here with my co-host Andrew Cohen. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good indeed. Well, yeah, I'm fine.
You're bad?
No, I'm good. No, I'm fine. I'm better. I'm good.
This is an obvious cry for help.
No, I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm fine. It's stabilising.
When were you flatlining?
A couple of weeks ago, but I'm now just kind of accepted my life.
Is it the season? I know we talk about seasons probably too much.
Yeah, well, nearly every show.
Every show.
Yeah.
But is it?
Yes. But I went to 2 parties last weekend, which was fun. Back-to-back parties. And one of them I was invited by Davina, comedian Davina Bentley. And I guess it was sort of like, do you remember at uni when I got scouted for Middle Class Club?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. Very early on.
Yeah.
You kind of fell in with the wrong crowd.
When they saw me and they thought, yeah, he'll do.
Yeah.
And then I got taken around to a dinner party where everyone was...
It's the fleeces and the moustache,
It must be. I don't know what... It was funny because I sort of got spotted from afar.
Was it a dinner party?
Yeah, well, this one wasn't a dinner party, but it was very similar vibes.
People showing off their newest art projects.
Yes, it was a lot of that. I mean, it was really fun, and it was very nicely done. But when I arrived, me and Bibi had no idea what to expect that weekend because there was 2 potential parties we were going to go to, and so when we arrived, there was a 65-year-old man there,
right?
Which really changes the vibe. Well, I don't know what we were expecting going. I thought it was going to be like a party with comedians, but there was a.
What was just a normal?
It was a wine and cheese sort of
right,
kind of shimmy around the kitchen.
Yeah, not Stella and cocaine.
No, there was a guy called Storm who lives in a co-op, not the supermarket.
Right,
a cooperative living thing, and he had.
I was expecting the supermarket.
He had. I mean, it would be funnier if he lived.
Yeah,
and he had like a orange bit of material on his head.
What did that connotate?
I don't know. I think that connotates sort of growing your own veg.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Reasonably source your fish.
Yeah. He was nice, but I had a lot of questions about his co-op. He lives with 12 people.
Right.
So I kept asking him very practical questions that I think you found quite good. I was like, so how big's your fridge? And he's like, it's bigger than that. You should probably have 2 fridges. There's 12 people. He's like, no.
It's an important question.
Yeah. And
so it's a normal size fridge.
It was a pretty normal size. It was not as big as I thought it would be with 12 people, but I think it's because they have a rota of cooking for each other.
For all 12 people?
There's never 12 people in,
right.
as Storm said. But
it's
the best way of not wasting food, and you can be more creative with ingredients if you're
That's certainly true.
Buying in bulk.
What does Storm do?
I think he might run the co-op.
And also lives in it?
Yeah. Or run other co-ops.
I suppose he's working from home.
I guess so. Or he's working for homes.
He's working for his home.
He's working for his
home.
I didn't actually get to that point, but I was asking about. I was like, is that? I assumed I wanted to get some juice about like, is it fractious in a house with 12 people? I think that would be.
I think it's inevitable.
But he said that it's pretty good
because he's running the co-op.
He's
got a vested interest in making it look peaceful.
He hadn't had a great day because he just kicked someone out of a co-op.
Well, there's obviously fractious then.
And he said that was tough. And so then there was a photographer.
Why did he kick him out?
I think he wasn't meant to be there.
Washing bum in the sink.
Washing his bum in the sink. I think that's one of the reasons why you get kicked out of a co-op.
That's on the wall, one of the big no-nos.
Yeah.
There's a wall of don'ts.
There was a lot of...
number one.
There was a lot of bohemians there. And it was... we stayed at the right amount of time because then in the sitting room after we'd all had a bit of wine and cheese...
bloated.
Sure. Don't tell me what my lived experience is.
I take it back.
In the living room was a country and western singer and his son, and they did a little ditty. And then out of the crowd came a fucking trumpetist who I don't know if that was part of the thing, but it seemed very much like, come on. He's like, no, come on. He's like, okay.
In my experience, no one has ever bought a trumpet to an event without the express intention of using it.
It was really good though,
because you can't feign.
And we're all in the sitting room.
You can't feign coyness if you're literally brought your trumpet to this event.
It was nice, but it was like I'll enjoy this in 10 years. Thank you for now.
Do you still think you will? 10 years. How old are you? 35.
35. I can do this. So I was like, it's
But
nice.
What was like the? So what happened? Was it?
It was a Christmas party run by the house. So Davina, my friend, lives
Yeah.
in a house with her friend. She lives in a house with like 4 other people, and they
So was
together
it
do an annual Christmas party.
just kind of schmoozing and general chit chat, and then a couple of art installations.
Sort of. I mean, it was in a house, so it wasn't. It was like in like
Yeah.
a terrorist house. It wasn't like
A terrorist house.
a terrorist.
Oh, right, yeah.
A terrorist house. So it wasn't. It wasn't much. There wasn't art on the show, but,
But,
there was music.
but
There was music in the living room.
performances.
There was performance in the living
Was
room.
it just music performances?
Just the music. Well, we left before anything else happened. But
How did you leave? Was it awkward?
No, it wasn't all good. It wasn't all good.
Okay.
We got an Uber to another event with young people, and that was also fun. How was your weekend?
Was good. Well, it all started off with the bloody football, didn't it? The thing is, and I suppose there'll be other people listening who probably had a somewhat similar experience, is that it's great that the World Cup's on, but you want to experience it in a pub, don't you, really? You want the atmosphere. You want to be around other Britons. It's nice to be able to see it clearly at home and be able to like hear the commentary.
Yeah. I'm in a mixed bag because it is great when you nail it and you feel part of something, but I find it's very stressful trying to get. You don't know what's coming up because often you can't book a regular pub, so you end up in a pub you've never been to before. You rock up, there's more people than you expect, and before you know it, you're watching the whole game behind
you
it.
always
Can't
overbook.
hear it. There's so many things that go up in the air. So I find it it's quite stressful, but when it pulls off, it is.
It's true because you always overbook because you're like, oh, we can get away with it. But the problem is every other table's overbooked.
Yeah.
So everyone is just trying to pile in, and it gets quite aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, amongst the fans, but also mostly with the bodyguards, and fair enough, the security guys, I guess, not the bodyguards. The security guys, fair enough, because, I mean, it must be a fucking nightmare on World Cup day. But the way to alleviate that is just get to the pub at 2 p.m.
That's what
Which is what we did on Friday.
Yeah.
You're on my shirt. You're literally
Sorry.
on my so I got to the pub at 2 on Friday at our local, the Rusty Bike. It's a nice pub. To kind of lock down a table, which we did. You can't say we didn't because we.
Did you have? Because I thought it was too early to get there. Was it too early?
I thought it was too early as well, but I was on the phone to Izzy and her mum was there, and she said they laughed at me when I said 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I was still like, I'm not sure. Then I mentioned it to you, and you said, yeah, that's way too early.
Yeah.
And then they called our friend Max, who went, that's ridiculous. You need to get there earlier. You need to get there at like 2. And then I thought, it's me and you. Me and you were the only two people who said it was
the only people who can't drive.
Way too early. We're the only 2 people who can't drive. I thought I'm going to take the others' advice on that. So we got there at 2. It wasn't too early. It was bang on time because because there were people in there doing what we were doing, bringing their laptops and working. Yeah. And just there was one guy who was just holding up a six-man table for like 4 hours. Yeah. He was clearly the bitch of the group because when his friends came, they were the ones singing behind this harmony. He was this quiet, meek guy. And then the others came, and they were just these lads who came in heavy, were like pushing him about. He was getting the drinks all the night, so it was clearly like, I wonder who's going to sit in the pub for 4 hours to save our table. It'll be Derek the bitch, won't it? He was the only bald one as well.
Derek the bitch.
Derek the bitch.
He did look like Derek the bitch.
Did you see him?
Yeah, I did.
Guy, he had his laptop and he had a spread, and someone tried to get the table.
And when you're fully bald but also small and not muscly, that's when you're
glasses as well.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and he was one of
like
those.
Jack Leach.
Yeah, he did, and he was one of those bald guys, a bit like Jack Leach, with a very round head.
Yeah.
And the thing is, many of us have very round heads, but they're often covered by hair.
So you're talking about a personal experience.
It is. I think my own head is fairly round. Yeah. I don't think it is. I've got a weird bit at the back. Do you have a bit at the back that sticks out? You see it in some bald guys.
Normally, black bald men, where you have at the back of their heads, like muscly black bald men have like a really angry back of their head, where it's another
at least
face
unsettled, or it's like a squished.
It's like someone like looking at you. There's another face like okay, you.
Yeah, it's to put off predators from behind.
It's evolutionary
because that's what you should do. That's what
they
you
got
should
frown
do if you go
lines
hunting.
What?
Do you know that? You should make a mask. I don't remember where I learned this, but it was recently.
Joking?
No, I'm not joking. When you go hunting, you should put a mask on the back of your head so it deters any predators or I think it's just predators, I guess. Any predators from like attacking you from behind.
And the woke brigade.
And the bloody woke brigade. Why?
Just keep the PC brigade off my case.
Yeah, you think you'd be able to escape them in the woods, but you can't.
The mask could spook them out, the cucks.
Yeah. So that's something I learned. But so we were there from 2, and I suppose it was we could have moderated our drinking a bit better. I say it was mostly me actually.
Did you have a game plan before going in?
No, I was like it will be for. I kind of treated the whole evening kind of like a bit because I was like
a
bit.
Like a comedy bit?
Yeah, because I was like, I have a complete license.
Did you get stuck in a beehole, do you think?
Oh, I definitely did at the end of the night, and we'll get there. But I had a complete because I thought I'm there from 2. I'm here, the hero, saving everyone's tables.
Yeah.
I have a complete
bitch of the group.
The bitch of the group, yeah. I was the bald man. It was me and him going, no, we're actually saving these for our friends.
No, sorry, you can't.
And then our friends arrive and they don't talk to us. So I thought I have a complete license to be quite drunk by the time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I was like, it's a license to be drunk. I've earned it.
The right
and
to
I can be whatever the fuck I want to be.
And you were a bit.
And I was. I was. I thought, I'm going to get fucked.
That's true. You do. You've earned the right to be a dick.
Yeah. I earned the right to be as fucked as I wanted, and I definitely managed to do that. Because there was no moderation. The only moderation I did was made sure
There's no moderators.
That was surprising. It was a surprising lack of,
Invigilators, moderators.
Invigilators, what's the word for mediators? There was none of those, none of the above present, which really made the evening into something it shouldn't have been. But we then...
What was your pint per hour rate, your PPH?
1.5.
Oof. Spread out across how many hours?
Well, I think we were there overall for 9 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, about 9 hours.
And I forgot what you said. Did you say it's not the most drunk you've ever been?
It's not the most drunk I've ever been, but I think it's the most pints I've ever drank. It was up there. It was 12 or 13.
Was it all Guinness?
All Guinness, yeah. Which is definitely, you don't want to switch once you've been on Guinness.
No.
I guess you go bubbly wild. I don't want that. I suppose, because I'm not really one for. I'll often switch to something. The most drunk I've been is like whiskey drunk or something like that. I'm not one of these guys who likes to go on
whiskey
pub.
Whiskey can get really nasty when you're at the end of the night when you turn it to whiskeys after loads of beers. That's when you can get that's when the drunkness. It's
a lot of my nights out. Really.
But you know what I mean? The drunkenness. I feel on the beers it stays wholesome, and then as soon as the whiskey, it quickly turns unwholesome. The drunkenness.
It's true, and it's either you're looking for someone to shout at, or you're looking for someone to cry on.
It
definitely gets quite emotional.
Yeah,
you feel like you need to let something out, whether that's aggression or emotion.
It feels special if you're on whiskies, so you feel like anything's possible.
The occasion sweeps you up.
Yeah, if you've got a pint in your hand, you can't be crying because this is an everyday thing. But if you're swilling a tumbler with whiskey, then it's like...
Then you have a license to say what you want.
It feels like, Christmas or something.
An occasion, and what better way to mark it than with a good cry? But we were there for 9 hours. I think because I'm not one for like let's get the lads together and do a pub crawl and have like many pints. You know what I mean?
What's your point? I don't know what you're saying.
Hold on, have I got something on my nose?
No, that's just how big your nose is.
Is it? Well, because I put some cream on it earlier, and I thought I might not have taken it off. I'm saying that I drank a lot of pints for what I usually would drink.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then it was fun, but it did turn into a bit of a marathon or an endurance test because it was a long time to sit in a pub. I wasn't by myself, but it was a long time to sit in the pub waiting for a game. And then there was also elements of that too many people were coming. We had to kind of work out the logistics of it. And as you're getting progressively drunk, that's harder to do. But then I think the worst insult was waiting for that long to have one of the dullest games of football I've seen for a very long time.
Yeah.
Even though the atmosphere was good.
It was so good. I mean, if that was a great game, it would be incredible.
Fantastic.
Because I actually ended up with the best seat I've ever had in a pub ever.
Yes, you did actually, didn't you?
Literally just sat right in front of a projector screen. Just huge. Just for an absolutely shite game of football. But I find it very stressful watching those games because I do, I feel it's similar to when I'm bowling. You know how serious I can get when I'm bowling.
I am very aware.
That's what me.
It's not how serious you can get. Take out the can. There is. I have never seen an exception. I agree with the bowling focus because I get quite focused in bowling. But what I do is...
I really struggle to or have a normal conversation with someone while
Well, you
bowling.
can't switch it off.
I can't.
And bearing in mind, we can be playing with like 6 people. The problem is you then stand at the back in the little like pathway bit with your arms folded, just glaring at everyone bowling. And then like it's literally eyes on the screen, eyes on the bowler, eyes on the screen, eyes on the bowler. You're not even winning.
No.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Apart from the last time we played, I beat you.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Like, that's the thing about being a winner. You don't, like, you're going to remember those times. I can't remember all the times I beat you.
It was just the last time we played, that's what.
Well, I'll see you.
It wasn't like it was just the last time we played, I guess.
See you on Monday.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we will.
Yeah. I'm going to bowl. I got 205 in
you
LA.
sent me that, yeah.
205. That's
How
a
many
huge
people
score.
did you send that picture?
3.
3.
Three.
Who did you send it to?
You, Izzy, and Martha.
So 205, I forget.
People I've bowled with.
Yeah.
People I've bowled with previously. 205. That was every single throw was either a strike or a spare.
No, it's pretty
It
impressive.
was nuts. The crowd were going mental.
Yeah, I have to see it to believe it, but...
Well, I sent you the picture.
Yeah.
It says Andrew.
I've also seen pictures of Bigfoot.
Do you think I go to the effort of doctoring? Like, because that's actually some quite detailed Photoshop
I think
skills.
you got beaten by your girlfriend and were really shitty all night. And that
was the only way.
She was like, come to bed. And you're like, give me a second as you start doctoring.
Yeah. It would be it would be quite an odd tactic. But
do you remember at school when George Charter was writing an email to his mum? He was a kid like 2 years below us, a very sweet boy.
Yeah.
And we said, what are you writing, George? And he was writing like an email about how well his day went to his mum. Aww. And in the email, it was, I played really well in the football match today. I got man of the match. And then he looked at us and went, I didn't.
I do.
I didn't.
I do. And that's a very... it's a very odd moment for all of us because we found him very sweet, so we kind of were loosely fascinated with him.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in and like it was, I don't know how it came up, but he told us.
Yeah.
Which was it's strange enough that he's writing an email to his mum.
Yeah.
Who
Is he seeing you that night?
We weren't a boarding house, so he was going home that night. So unless he's just really eager to update his mum about the accolades
email,
of the day,
which he didn't get.
I didn't get it. It's very odd. It's a very odd family relationship.
It goes from being quite wholesome to
being like, well, then why are you doing this? Because surely
it's from this wholesome, sweet, vulnerable thing to him being like, it's almost like he'll get punished if he doesn't get man.
Well, that's it, because it went from the implication being that he wants to do this to he's being made to do this.
Yeah.
But then surely 15 he was around that age at the time. No 15-year-old boy would... Surely you can say to your mum, I'm not going to email you updates of my day at school. Maybe wait till I get home. But that's George wouldn't, actually.
George wouldn't.
I think he wouldn't have the gumption to say no, so instead he lies about the accolades he's achieved during the school day.
He's for the forest, that boy.
He is forest folk in some ways. I can picture him as
That's a new term.
I kind of picture
there's something
him as,
where you see it and you're like, they're for the forest.
I can picture him as Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Well, it's more when I think someone's for the forest, it's almost like they're not for this world. They're meant to be laid down at the bottom of an oak tree and taken over by moss and become part of the.
Oh, so kind of passive forest people.
No,
so,
I mean
so
more.
Not
I mean they're too sweet and earthly for this, for the human realm.
But why can't they exist in the forest? Why do they just have to be moss people?
No, they're not moss people.
Well, they're not doing much.
No, well, they become part of the fibre of the universe.
Right, so they become like the roots of the trees.
They're for the forest.
So right.
If someone's for the forest, it's like when you speak to them and you're like, you're too sweet for this world. You should be laid down at the bottom of an oak tree and then moss
slowly envelops you.
And you become part of the fibre of the universe. It's for the forest.
Right, I agree. I just expected him to have a bit more agency in the forest. I imagine
he does. He's still
going around with twigs in his hair, a wicker basket, planting seeds.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's part of the. He's for the
and then when he dies, he then becomes part of the forest. But that's because of the good deeds he's done to the forest before his death.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. But yeah, and then we watched the next game at a very fancy place, which actually worked out quite well.
It worked out very well.
Yeah, much better game, but just not. We were sort of watching it with like business folks. It was like rich people.
It was odd.
Yeah.
It was. It was almost black tie.
Yeah.
So there were some groups coming in there dressed up to the nines.
But it wasn't crazy expensive. I mean, it was expensive.
It was expensive, but it wasn't.
But for watching an England game without, like, I'd pay £10 to not have a pillar in my face.
Full stop.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. And so then you add that to the drinks, and it's basically...
And the drinks plus service, you're paying, like, I don't know, £6 more than you would normally.
Overall, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good deal. And it was like this fancy restaurant that turned into like a...
Because the other option is you're there from 2 p.m. and you spend a ridiculous amount of money there.
Do you know what it felt like, weirdly? The setup of that place last night, it felt like almost like politicians in some sort... in like Dubai watching a
It wasn't
game.
That plush.
No.
For Dubai politicians.
Maybe not. I don't know, but it's, you know.
It did reek of finance,
Yeah.
but they were, I think every single one of the people are in there had really wealthy parents.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because they all just had this fight. Well, what they were doing, which was the most insane thing I've seen, is I was just casually watching the football, and then a waiter passes me carrying a thing. What are they called? Do they have a name?
Bassoon? What are you talking about?
A waiter carries
wheel of cheese.
That's the one. Yeah, he just passed a wheel of cheese. No, he was like a thing that you hold drinks on.
A tray.
I suppose it is a tray. Just walks past with a tray with like six.
That's what Will Smith's son's called, Trey, the one that no one cares about.
T-R-A-Y.
T-R-E-Y.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's just a normal name, really. Loads of people look at
Trey.
Trey. Trey.
If you're the only not famous one in that family.
Willow, Jaden, and Trey. T-R-A-Y. But no, he walked past with a tray of like six small glasses filled with a darkish liquor, and I was like, "That's port, isn't it?" And turned around and asked our friends, "Is that port?" And they were like, "That's port." Adam just been to Portugal, which is where port comes from. No, Porto.
Yeah, we talked about. I went to Porto, and you do the port tours, and I liked port then, but
not anymore.
But I think
Too
it was
much
partly
port?
I was in Porto in like one of the original port
Drinking
places,
port,
and I was like, I could get into port, but
and
as
the
soon as
void still wasn't filled.
Take me out of Porto, I'm not drinking port.
That's
I'll
fair.
drink port in Porto, but
Yeah.
only real
It kind of
Porto.
feels rude not to drink
Yeah,
port.
only real port lovers drink port out of Porto.
Portans?
Portanians.
Portanians, apologies. With my humble apologies.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Porcupines.
Um,
So he came round with six. I was like, that's port.
it's like Buckfast.
Port.
Yeah, it's fortified wine.
Yeah. Well, it's quite it's like a countryside posh thing. It's like you drink
Yeah.
port after going
Buckfast
on
is
you
like
drink
just a
port
really
after
cheap
going
version
on a
of port.
shooting. Like you kill a pheasant, drink some port.
It's nice. It's like dessert wine. It's like sweet.
Is it fermented? Everything's fucking fermented
it's
nowadays.
fortified. I don't know what that
Know what I mean?
means.
Everything's-
It's highly fortified.
It's just got defences around
It's got a lot of.
It's got a barricade.
I don't know what fortified wine means, but
A
I think it's just like
drawbridge.
it's like sugary.
a Mott and Bailey. I'm talking. I'm doing history.
I know.
jokes.
I was waiting for you to list more.
A drawbridge.
No, you said that.
A Mott and Bailey. Well, actually, spiral staircases. Those are actually because of whenever you go up I'm not talking like a New York apartment, but if you go to an older, like a
Wait,
castle,
I have a reason why Spiral Staircase.
because they could stab down.
Fine. I
We
thought
don't.
you-
You,
I thought you were gonna
don't
say
have a
something-
reason. That is the reason.
I know. I thought you were going to say something different, and then we could argue about it. Sadly.
That's a
But
shame.
That was exactly what I was told as well.
Because that's the truth.
That's the truth.
And we both studied history together. We were told this by the same person at the same time. But yeah, so they came around with port, and I was like, "They're drinking port, aren't they?" My friends went, "Yeah, they're drinking port." And then they were just like, they shotted it, which I was like, "You shouldn't do that with port, should you?" But these guys have money to burn, is my point.
Is that the story?
Yeah, they were drinking port. It's an illustration of where we were.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
really.
It's like a.
I went
like a
from
detail.
I went from the World Cup at a local, being there for 2 hours, drinking 12 pints of Guinness, and having men screaming England chants in the background, to then suddenly being in a nice restaurant with posh suits everywhere and people drinking port as shots.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I
you
want
thought they were
someone throwing
you
up
thought they were
from
rich kids.
Budweiser.
You thought they weren't self-made men in there.
No, I think there's an element of self-made, but they started off with a significant amount of their father's capital.
A small loan of $1 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who was that again?
Trump.
Trump, yeah.
My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
But that on chanting and football, right?
Here we go.
Here we go. Hot take season.
Can I have a bit of beer?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let me just do a click.
Wow.
How do they do it? That's fermented.
No, it's not.
Everything's fermented nowadays.
Like kombucha.
Sure. What's
You know
that?
what kombucha is?
Yeah.
Have you ever had kombucha?
Maybe.
The guy who invented kombucha is weird looking. He looks like an alien.
I won't touch the stuff then.
He looks like he's like made of all of plastic surgery, and he's like a weird rich person who's super successful. He's like a billionaire.
Did he make his money in kombucha?
Yeah, well, he invented kombucha.
Oh, you just went so serious. yeah, no, that's the thing, Andrew. He invented it. Yeah, that's the whole story.
Because it's not like, oh, has he got a successful brand of kombucha? He is kombucha.
He is, yeah. But isn't it, I often think when someone invents something like that, was it easier back in the day to patent something? Because I feel like
What's back in the day? Because inventing kombucha is not back in the day.
When is it?
15 years, 20?
Back in the day, before excessive, like, everyone's suing everyone and laws and things. Because
everyone was suing everyone 15, 20 years
I
ago.
suppose so, but it feels like it stepped up a bit. I just feel like if I invented a spoon, right, and I was the only person who wanted to sell a spoon today, do you think I'd be able to patent that?
Of course you would.
I just don't think you
I'm
would.
joking. Of course you wouldn't.
Why not?
Because there's already loads of spoons.
No, but I imagine the spoon doesn't exist.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's not just in a world of spoons I invent the spoon.
So
I want to be the sole proprietor of spoons. Can I do it?
no, it's not about what you want. It's what's the case.
What's the case? Is that I invented a spoon.
You invented the spoon, then you could patent it. Yeah.
I just don't think they do it anymore.
You could. The paperclip got a patent. You know?
When? Probably about 15 years ago.
No,
it
was like
when there were patents everywhere. It was a patent.
You think it's harder to get a patent now?
I'm not basing this on any kind of fact, but I just think it might be. Do you not think it's harder to get a patent?
Because a lot of these sort of things, you more just vibe it out with what the energy sort of feel in the air. You're like, it feels hard.
It feels harder to get a patent. It does.
Every time there's a change in patent law, I get a cold breeze down my.
Yeah. God, it's just got a lot tougher for inventors out there.
That would be the dream, though. That seems like that'd be the most
inventing
fun.
like the paperclip.
Yeah, and then it's generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know,
because
you become a baron, basically.
You hear of people. I don't know whether this is in stories or in real life. Yeah. I don't suppose I've ever met someone like this, but like great grandkids of the guy who invented the stapler or something, or invented a thumbtack.
Yeah, I went to school with a Polish girl whose granddad invented Velcro.
That's huge. That must be a big one.
Big.
Her granddad.
Yeah.
Velcro's using a lot, isn't it?
Fucks, yeah.
But so does that mean that
every time Velcro's
used?
I think so.
Well,
but then does a patent run out? No, I think you get like an 8
Isn't it after you die? But I'm not
going to look it up, so otherwise we.
This is far too uninteresting.
If we look it up, then would stop talking about it. But I think there's 15 more minutes in this, so.
Obviously. But. It's like when you have a song, so every time that song is used, you in a public manner, you get royalties.
Yes,
but then
that runs out.
When? After you die?
80 years after you die.
Yeah.
So what's gonna be interesting is because now every 10 years every year things go out of copyright. But it's so old that we don't really have a lot of like pop music or modern music.
It's like 160 years ago, isn't it? If they lived to 80, maybe 140.
No, you just get singers who died in the 40s.
Right, yeah.
You'd be able to get theirs and stuff like that. But it's slowly
80 years, is it? Yeah.
I think so. Because like when we were making YouTube films, one of the big problems is you couldn't just use any song.
Let's go to that royalty-free website.
And just get the shittest films ever, or have Audio Jungle.
Kevin
MacLeod.
Happy.
Intriguing.
Scary.
So I mean, that's going to be in like 80 years. If you're a creator and you get the whole of the 60s and the 70s,
it's going to help.
That's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, but then the 60s for them, for the future, will be the 40s for our present.
But do you think so?
Yeah.
Or do you think the 60s is
Well, they definitely stepped it up from like the 50s and 40s.
I disagree because I do agree with that.
You don't know what you believe.
I don't know what I believe anymore. But I think the 60s now culture's repeating itself.
Yeah.
So I think actually the 60s was original and will stay original, will stay because I think in 100 years there's just going to be reimagining of the 60s as opposed to the 60s.
But you think we're just going to go on a loop from like the 60s to what? Where is it start?
That's what.
Well, there's always new things. It's not all repetition.
Mark Fisher's his whole thing.
But you know what I think about Mark Fisher.
I know.
Don't bring up his fucking name in front of me.
But he was so depressed he killed himself. And though I find his stuff really interesting, I do think it sometimes takes a tiny bit away from the validity. Is that bad to say?
That he killed himself? Because
he has the most bleak worldview, and he has such a damning indictment of postmodern late capitalism.
Yeah.
Which, when you read it, you're completely on it. But then it's like you were clinically depressed, so much so that you killed yourself. I don't know how much of the bleakness...
Chicken or the egg?
What?
Did the bleakness come from his interpretation of late
reality?
Capitalism?
Is it just because he could see?
Or was it because was he depressed and therefore he had those understandings of it?
He was definitely a glass half empty kind of guy.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. It's just whether... No, but you're right. It's if he killed... It's either if he was depressed and therefore thought that about it, about the world... Or if he thought that about the world and became so depressed he killed himself. One of them makes it so valid, the other one makes it invalid.
I think he basically believes that garage music was the last original genre, and the rest has been
copies.
Well, just cultural flat. So it's just the same. Everything is just a reinterpretation of the past. Every Arctic Monkeys.
Garage, that's strange.
Yeah, he was a huge obsessed with garage.
What about like Donk?
I don't think he got onto Donk.
But it's interesting. Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Yeah,
because I suppose garage is just part of like the dance music genre.
Yeah, but I guess you can have progressions. But I think that was the last.
But why is garage different than
maybe
just
it's
like dance
music? The movement behind it was something quite authentic.
The culture or the music genre.
Well, combined. I think that's what the culture is what led to it being.
Well,
outside of the
Donk.
I guess so.
Donk is nuts, and it's definitely a culture, and it's a scary one.
And you think it's original? Is that part of cultural flattening?
Well, in a way, it is part of cultural flattening. In a way, it's like.
But
it's
feeding
very
up
ironic.
Music.
It's very ironic.
But
there's certainly a culture behind it, and everyone just posts depressing memes.
Is it mainly in Blackpool? Was that where it kind of started?
I think so.
Is it a British genre, Donk?
Yeah,
Can you explain
100%.
to the lame men?
It's just like I became friends with an interesting crowd at uni, and they were all DJs.
Yeah.
But I suppose they were pushing the boundaries of what it means to be a DJ. It wasn't
it was the techno gang.
Yeah, but this wasn't the techno gang. This was the Donk crew. So I was in the techno gang, and then slowly got friends with some of the Donk crew.
Wait, but I thought they were doing the Donk as like a bit of a joke, or was that part of their identity?
No.
They were like diehard.
Cosmo
Donkers.
still does it.
Oh, is he still?
Yeah, he's actually running a quite successful meme page. He got
from Donks.
Well, they're very much linked.
Well, explain to me what Donk is.
There was Donk is. I'll explain it. Like Cosmo is the guy. And we were setting up for a party once, and we were like doing the decorations.
Yeah.
He used to have these mad parties.
Yeah.
Also, we need a better word for party because it just sounds so lame.
It's true.
I hate it. You said it earlier, and I was like, "That's lame."
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the best party I've ever been to, and it sounds shit.
Party.
Do you want to come to my party? Well, I had a lot of fun at that party.
Yeah, party, especially in English.
But then
accent.
rave, you sound like a cunt.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a new word.
Party.
Yeah.
But.
We were setting up the decorations, and Cosmo was on the music to just a bit of cheer whilst we're doing stuff. And he wasn't playing Donk. He was playing like whatever songs. So it could be pop or funk or whatever, or hip hop.
Sure, I wasn't there.
Just like decoration things. But he'd go on YouTube, and his mind was so fried by his music tastes and his DJing and the speed at which he played things that he'd find the song on YouTube and increase the speed up to like 2 times. Whilst we were just getting ready, because he couldn't listen to anything that wasn't at least
no one knows what
150 BPM. It's very hard to explain. Donk is.
Just put game music on double speed.
But it's it can. There's some horrible ones where it'll make you feel nauseous.
Yeah.
There's some. It's very tongue in cheek, and it often takes traditional like 80s or even 70s or whatever,
Cultural
like
platinum.
pop songs, and kind of put them over, and you get, it's oddly sincere in a way, because you get the lead up to, you get the pre-chorus and the chorus, and then, but instead of going, like ABBA is a good one to donk, but they'll stop doing that because everyone loves ABBA now. They used to do it, now everyone loves ABBA, they can fuck off. But so they do like gimme, 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 a man or something, and it'll be like, and you're waiting to go into the chorus, but then it just goes, and it is fun. It's certainly fun. There's some, and it's, the thing is,
and he's still into it.
Yeah. There's like donks.
I can get into it as a uni
but
fad.
there's donk, and it's like hard dance and hard house is what they're calling it, and it all changes a lot. And there's another thing, but it's what it does have. It's the only like rave music that's genuinely hilarious. Like the amount when I've been to donk stuff, it's.
You've been to donk stuff?
Well, not. I haven't ever been to
in-house parties, right?
In a house party.
It's not an event.
I haven't ever gone to a donk event because I'm genuinely terrified of what I might find there. Because there's a festival that they all put on, or like, and it's called.
Imagine it's like Insane Clown Posse. That one.
It's a little. Like, it terrifies me. But one of my friends, Ellie, keeps saying, "Let's go to that," and I'm like, I don't think that's terrifying. My scene. No. I will cry. It's the only, so when I've seen them DJing, it's the only time that I've genuinely been like enjoying it, because I've been suitably fucked at the time. And it's still fun to dance to whenever, but they know what they're doing, and it does genuinely make you laugh because of how ridiculous the music is. And it's funny, and part of it is they're doing a comment on the seriousness of dance music as well, and because you go to techno events and it's very...
So you don't think there'll be donk in Germany?
No, Germany do not have enough of a sense of humour for donk. It's very British, because it's taking the piss out of what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like taking all the seriousness out of any kind of dance music and just releasing the silliness.
Yeah.
Unleash the silliness is donk's slogan.
Were you halfway through a story before we
Oh
went
yeah,
on a tangent?
no, the chant that I hate.
The chant. Fucking hell, that was about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, well, important things came up. But, so...
on the history of donk.
We've got a few... I guess since the Euro success, or half success, was there... I swear we've got some new chants in. Yeah?
Got new ones in.
Well, right.
So on the way to the Euros, you had Southgate, You're the One.
Yeah. Is that new?
That was...
Yeah, it must be new. I didn't
No,
hear
that
it.
came in 2018 World Cup, I think. But it really came to the fore.
Yeah.
In the Euros. It's coming home, obviously.
Yeah.
Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
These are all 2018 chants. I don't know if we've had any new ones.
Where did this dog shit come from?
Which one?
Please Take Me Home.
Please take me home. Please don't take... That was last...
Please don't
That
take
was
me
in the
home.
Euros.
Yeah, that's dog shit.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Please don't take me home.
Oh, I think you were
Please
shouting
don't.
about this on the night.
Yeah, too right.
At 12 pints
Please
deep,
don't take me home.
screaming someone's ear off.
Please don't take me home. I just don't want to go to work. I want to stay here, drink all the beer.
Yeah.
Please don't take me home. It's awful.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
The melody is disgraceful.
Please.
It's got nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
It's not funny. It's just some guy saying, I don't want to go to work. And I'll just drink all the beer. It's like what a 14-year-old would come up with. It is fucking shit, and it is. I can't believe we still use it. It really annoys me.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
No, not at all. I think you're right.
Please take me home.
Yeah, I've always actually hated it.
Don't take me home. It's shit.
Well, more, I just assumed I didn't get what the thing was behind it.
Well, that's what I thought as well, because I'm not very well versed in a lot of England chants. But now that we've come to the World Cup and I've right, this is here, and it means what it means, and it means nothing.
It means I want
to stay in a pub and drink beer. I don't want to go to work.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's like
it's weirdly melancholic.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, and it's also just fucking lame.
Drink.
I just want to stay and drink all the beer. Oh, do I have to go to work tomorrow? Yes, you do. Grow up. You can have fun in the pub in the evening and watch the football, but you've got responsibilities. You can't be drinking all the beer. There's other customers. It's rude. And it makes us look like pillocks on the international stage. And I don't use that word lightly.
He doesn't. Bill Kerwin does, though.
He fucking does. Yeah.
I've seen Bill drop the P word.
I've seen Bill Kerwin call a shoe a pillock. Yeah, he's definitely called you a pillock.
Yeah.
It's his go-to.
He calls a lot of people pillocks.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, be careful with that word.
Well, his biggest one, actually, particularly when we were growing
up. Does he know the
up.
history of that word?
Wally.
Oh, really?
Wally, yeah.
You great big Wally.
Yeah. He's a true English kind of linguist.
Wally, you pillock.
Yeah. Those really bring back some more wholesome times, those words for me.
When I moved from London to Sussex, I got called a townie by a farmer.
Did you?
He called me a townie.
Who?
My friend Luke Tilbury. He's a good boy in the end, but...
Wait, so when you moved from London to Sussex...
Yeah.
Who called you a townie?
Well, he literally grew up on a farm, and he had quite... And I think we got the bus back because we lived in the same area, and one of his insults against me was that I was a townie.
Because you moved from London to Sussex?
Yeah, well, I just must have had a...
Does townie mean you don't live in a city?
No, sorry. Townie actually means that you live in a town or a city.
But how did you meet
It means
this
you're
guy?
not a farmer. He went to my prep school.
In...
Rottingham.
Oh, so he was in Sussex, so you came from London, and that was the thing. Because you came from London, you were a townie.
Yeah.
Right.
And because I think I had metropolitan views.
Like what? At the age of 12?
I didn't believe in God.
Wow, controversial.
Yeah, I didn't like David Cameron.
I bet you really dazzled the Lewis Primary School when you arrived.
I was like...
Hey, come and look at this guy. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't know how to grow a potato.
I think I also supported LGBT rights from a young age.
Yeah, but that's always been your problem.
It's always my support of the LGBT community.
Yes.
That's been my problem.
Very towny behaviour. It's not how we like to do it on the farm.
No, it was actually the beginning. It was the first time I saw the fault lines in modern Britain of the kind of divide between rural traditional beliefs and metropolitan deviant beliefs like myself.
Yes.
That was
And
the first
now
time.
you're a horrible mix between the
I am a
two,
terrible
given you've had a
mix.
half and half upbringing.
Exactly. It's true.
Would you say you're more towny or country bumpkin?
I'd say more towny because I've lived here now more.
Yeah.
But then my key years were in the country. They
were, yeah.
Those are the years you change the most, I guess. So, but yeah, I'd say overall, I'd say I'm more of a townie. But I like townie. Townie goes in with pillock. It's just a funny because it's just generally used to mean pillock.
Yeah, well, it's not the
Bloody
best.
townie.
It's almost like just it's not the best insult because it's like calling someone French.
Yeah, Frenchy.
It's just like that. Well, no, but just French. It's like you're from there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you were to call
But
someone. It's like calling him a farmer.
But someone going to living in London and calling them a townie just because your conception of anything that's not a farm is that it's a town or.
I suppose the majority of Britain are townies to a farmer because they live with plumbing.
Bloody Tony. Bookmark boys.
Bookmark boys.
There isn't a bookmark that's better
Than a boy.
Than a boy. What do you mean?
I mean that girls don't make very good bookmarks.
They don't. It's an incredibly
They're
gendered
far
role.
too vibrant.
They are.
Whereas males make good, solitary, unmoving bits of paper.
Yeah. Bookmark boys.
Never stop marking your book.
So every year, Spotify Wrapped comes around, and we weirdly have got huge amounts of time out of talking about Spotify Wrapped for some reason. So this year it's come around. How are you feeling this year? Because you've had quite emotional things. Because I remember you loved Spotify Wrapped for a bit, and then we started talking about the podcast, and you felt out of touch with.
Yeah,
Spotify
I
Wrapped.
have.
And it was,
I've been moved to tears.
I remember, yeah, you have been moved to tears, but then you had one. Well, I think it was the really bleak time in lockdown.
Yeah,
I think you really needed something,
and it wasn't that good. I think it's never.
It's because you had built your expectations up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I have felt. I haven't actually looked at mine, so I felt. I haven't been listening to as much music as I usually do, which is a shame. So I'm like, I usually take some pride in the amount of minutes I've listened, but now I just fear it's not going to be be that impressive, and I've lost my identity.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to it.
Have you not looked at yours?
No.
Get it out. It's like a weirdly. It's basically everyone's day to be. It's main character syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, this is the minutes. See, it's not good.
What's your minutes?
25,824.
But you have podcasts on
more
there,
than 81%, but that's not good. What's your minutes?
I think they feel like their life's a movie somehow.
Yeah, it's true. It's just like, it's the soundtrack to their year. What are your top? Let's just do top playlists because the rest is just a bit. I was in the top 1% of Kendrick Lamar listeners.
Oh, that's pretty impressive.
I'm happy with that because he took a first year of being off my top artist because he hadn't put a fucking album out in ages, and I was disappointed at him. And
so he's back on top.
The reason why he released the album this year was because it was the first year that he wasn't my top listened artist.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So we thought I better do something.
Yeah.
My top artists are Kendrick, Bruno Mars, and Anderson .Paak. That would be because I've listened to a lot of Silk Sonic, Amy Winehouse, and J. Cole.
Oh, nice. That's pretty
Intriguing.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Okay. J. Cole makes it in there.
Yeah, just because I listen to Wet Dreams loads.
Yeah. Minutes listened 32,000. Top genre indie soul. Top artist
Indie
as
soul.
it is every single year is Mac DeMarco.
Still
Every single year.
Mac DeMarco.
Well, it's the only one I put on. I'll just leave it on that. I just trust it as an artist to all be consistent vibe. Then 2 Jay Dilla, 3 Kendrick Lamar, 4 Vince Staples, and 5 Bo Burnham.
Vince Staples, is it the horse?
Yeah, Vince Staples. Yeah. And then we've also got my podcast.
Vince Staples is your 4th.
Well,
How much Vince Staples you listen to?
Well, his new album's very, very good.
Yeah, I just didn't peg you as a Vince Staples guy.
Should we discuss the podcast?
Yeah, let's do the podcast one. That's more interesting. So you can do an artist Spotify Wrapped, which shows you the same, but for the creators podcast.
You created 2,363 minutes of new content. That was us.
Is that in a year? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
How much?
2,363 minutes.
How many hours is that? 40 hours.
40 hours. Okay.
Doesn't seem like that much. Feels like we missed 12 episodes.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense. That's more than 95% of other creators in the comedy. That's not even
Step up, guys.
95% of in the comedy category.
Step up, bitches.
You can't. Can you guess the one episode that people listen to most?
Clyde and the Schnods.
It was this year.
Oh, this year. I can't know.
Andrew Tate episode.
Was it? Yeah.
A lot of angry people who were pissed off at the clickbait because we only talk about it for a time at the end.
Yeah, true.
Then Liam Payne, and then Sundays for the Girls. Those are the top 3 this year.
Wow.
Fair enough. And then where your podcast loves to travel. So this is interesting because this is the listeners around the globe. That's my favourite part of analytics is when you see that there's freaks all over the place.
Yeah, because you spend enough time with Google Earth.
Yeah, it's true. It's like people in fucking Tuvula. It was heard in how many countries?
How many?
How many countries?
In total?
Yeah.
57.
63.
Well,
That's
pretty good.
Your top 5 were?
United Kingdom.
Number 1.
The US.
That's what should I say if they're in the top 5?
Yeah, but just say where they are.
3rd.
Ireland, Republic of Ireland.
5th.
Australia.
2.
Oh,
This is interesting. The 4th one's interesting.
is it an English-speaking country?
No.
Right. I'm just going to think out loud. Otherwise, we're going to have silence. It's not France. Maybe it could be Germany for some reason. I'm thinking. Is it in Europe? It is. Germany.
Yep.
Whoa!
You smashed it. You actually smashed that. That was pretty impressive. And shout out, hello, wie geht's?
Hello, wie geht's?
To Dinah. If you're a German listener, can you, actually genuinely, if you're a German listener, can you write a little, can you do this quite sincerely? We're not doing this as a joke. If you're a German listener, can you write a small little bio saying, hello, mein Name
is Klaus.
It's Klaus.
Mein Lieblingsessen. Say what your Lieblingsessen is, which is favourite meal.
If you are a German listener, and to be honest, anyone who's not really in the UK, if you feel like you live in an interesting place that's relevant or random, like I speak to a patron who lives in like a mining town in
South Africa.
northern South Africa.
Yeah,
that's interesting to me. So write a little bio if
Yeah.
you live in like a small town in Germany.
that is a bit out of the
and
blue.
then say one thing you like doing, like one of your hobbies.
And your favourite meal.
Your face. Just do like a sincere little sweet hello, my name is
Hello.
Klaus. Ich lieben.
And
Oh no, it's a
Spotify.
quiz.
Oh, it's a quiz. This is
What
fun.
percentage of your listeners follow your podcast? 12%, 36%, 24%.
24.
You're gonna go down the middle. I'm gonna say 12%.
Right.
Try a little higher.
24.
It's 36.
It's not awful, actually.
Yeah.
Hit that like, subscribe button.
Also, can you guys...
Because we never say that.
While we're doing that, yeah, we never say like and subscribe. Can you go on Apple Podcasts and leave a review? I always forget to say that. It really helps, I think.
But also subscribe on YouTube is a big help as well.
We forgot saying that. Please subscribe.
Please, yeah.
What are Boys Gone Wild listeners like exactly? Here we go. We find out more about you freaks.
Iron deficient.
Desperate need of vitamin D. Calculating listeners' personalities. Okay.
Oh, this is interesting.
Your listeners' podcast personality is...
Here we go.
The Adventurer.
That's what I was on
That's what
Spotify
I got
Wrapped.
as well. Does everyone get that? Your listeners venture out into the unknown, searching for fresher podcasts and gems yet to be found.
That's just... they probably give that for anyone that has a fairly small podcast.
Yeah, it's probably because they're listening to... It's because we're niche.
Because they're listening to us. Yeah.
We're like African
freaks.
psychedelic funk.
Yeah,
it's like that's what...
Just give them the Adventurer. They like
Adventurer.
weird
If you're
shit.
listening to this, you guys are fucking weird. Your fans are a dedicated bunch. Do they ever say your fans are not?
Your fans are fickle. Quite frankly.
Yeah, because I just don't know. It's always so positive this, but they'd never have like you got some of the worst.
Some of the worst fans. They could throw you under a bus for nothing.
They never say you should be trying a bit harder. 30% of 2021 listeners joined you again this year. That's
so we've lost 70.
We've lost
70% of old listeners.
And we've been called loyal.
Yeah. It depends. You never know what other podcasts are like, but it doesn't sound like a good number.
14% listen to most of your episodes.
14% of listeners listen to most of the episodes. This is making me depressed.
What?
14% of all your listeners listen to most of it. That means that out of all of our listeners, not many listen to all of it. Why are we even bothering now? There's only 14% of them here. Why 14%? Fuck it out.
Our rating's 4.9. That's boring. Have you been working out? That's what they asked. It's going to be some sort of pun.
Right.
Your podcast saw a lot of gains this year. 486% more hours, 468% more streams.
Really?
418% more followers, 282% more listeners. That's good.
That is good. Well, they're only listening for 2 minutes.
You and your fans have something special. You and your fans have something special. What is that? Let's see.
Let's find out what it is.
You're a top 10 podcast for 1,882 fans. Top 10.
That's nice. That's good. Yeah.
Top 10.
I mean, I have never listened to Boys Gone Wild, but it was on my Spotify. It was on. I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify though, so it doesn't actually come out. Man.
Your top 5 podcasts for 1,346 fans. Your number 1 podcast for 402 fans.
Big
That's
up.
what we like.
Those are the guys.
That's what we like to
That's
see.
pretty much the amount of Patreons we have.
Yeah. Great.
Well, thanks guys for another great year.
Thank you, and here's some more.
I suppose. What number episode are we on? We're not far off 150, are we?
No, we're very near 150.
We'll do a 150 special.
We'll do something.
That's more when we celebrate the podcast rather than letting Spotify tell us what to do.
Thanks very much for listening, guys. We're going to move over to the Patreon now. See you guys next week.